Welcome to the Resilience Room, where leadership meets life and every transition becomes an opportunity. Your host is Orville Brissett, pastor, military vet, board member, and your favorite leadership coach with a sense of humor. Here, we talk real strategies for real leaders navigating change in work, in life, in love, and everything in between. Because when things get complex, we bring clarity. When life shifts, we shift stronger. So grab a seat, take a breath, and let's build legacy, one resilient move at a time. This is the Resilience Room, and this is Orville.
Well, good afternoon. It's a beautiful Tuesday afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Resilience Room, where strength is built, leaders rise, and breakthrough happens. My name is Orville Brissett, and I am so honored to share with you this afternoon. And this afternoon, we have an amazing show for you. A wonderful guest who's going to be joining us today. And I want to jump right into telling you about her so that we can interact with her. Her name is Sharon Jean-Baptiste. She's an accomplished engineering executive with deep experience in operational program delivery, technology and innovation, and sales leadership roles that she's held over a 26-year career. She currently works for Jacobs as a vice president for transportation and growth. She is a global co-chair for the Jacobs Women's Network and past global chair for Harambe, the Jacobs Black Employee Network. She's a community servant. She is a corporate executive. She is a strategist and an intelligence forward-thinking leader. And we're grateful to have her on today. So would you help me welcome Sharon Jean-Baptiste at this time? Sharon, how you doing?
Doing great, Pastor. How are you doing?
Doing great. Glad to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, you're actually multitasking, juggling mom and work.
That's right.
At the moment. And so
Yes.
yeah, you're just tell us about you. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Your career trajectory. Just tell us about you.
Sure, absolutely. So I was born in Montreal, Canada. I was a child of immigrant Caribbean parents, and so grew up in a very multicultural home and neighborhood in Montreal. Went to school, did what I needed to do to get my bachelor's degree in engineering, and then decided to do a little bit of a shift and move to the United States for grad school. And I've been here for the past 25 plus years. So it's been a long time. But I knew that I wanted to be in doing something with math and science. I knew that I loved math and science when I was in high school, and thought, well, maybe I'll be a math teacher, right? And have a career there. But I had a very consequential conversation with my high school chemistry teacher, Mr. Stalinsky, who encouraged me to actually pursue engineering. It was not even on my radar. And after he and I had a good conversation about it, I started to do some research and decided that that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to help people with my love for math and science. I knew I wanted to make a difference in the lives of people. And he and I had several conversations about it. He said, look, it's not going to be easy because you are going to probably be the only one, right, in your classes, in the workplace, on construction sites, project sites. And he was right. It was not easy. But what I learned very early on in my educational career is you need a village. You cannot do what you want to accomplish and what God has called you to do alone. You need a team, you need a village, you need people who will support you through the journey. And that was a big first lesson that I learned from a leadership standpoint. So now I find myself working as an engineer for the past 25 years. I've done engineering in a number of different capacities, as you mentioned in the bio, and I've had fun with every single one. Now I get to work with clients to help solve their challenges around water and transportation challenges that they have in their communities, and ensure that those solutions create better communities, really connect people, connect work, connect life, connect play, connect opportunities to economic advancement, and really ensure that we're doing things in a way that leverages what communities are already doing for their public infrastructure. And as you mentioned, I'm doing double duty. So here in Huntsville, Alabama, the little ones at Space Camp, husband's back in Chicago. So again, you need a village. You need a village to be able to do everything that you want to do to ensure that you have a thriving life that gives back to others.
Wow, that's so wonderful to hear, and your trajectory has been one that is both transformational and trailblazing. And this afternoon, we just want to talk about a topic that's probably overlooked often, and that is how to lead a team that you didn't choose. You inherited the team. You weren't in the room when they were hired. You transferred in as the project manager, as the vice president for whatever department, and now you've got this team that you've got to bring together. You've got to try to create this synergy. You've got to try to boost their morale. You might have inherited a burned out team. Perhaps, you probably inherited a group that's still loyal to the last leader. And then you've got people on the team or a person who's very ambitious and thought they should have gotten the role that you now occupy. So there's this transition. Yeah, there's this transition trap. So you 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 have transferred a few times, and you have had to assume that role and bring teams together.
Yes.
So talk to us about what has worked
Yeah,
in these transitions.
excellent. Yeah, that's a really great question. It's such an important topic, right? There's times where we get to create and cultivate, what it is we want to have happen, and other times we have to work with a team or a situation that's already in place. And that's been a lot of my career,
Okay.
Pastor. That's been a lot of my career in the moves that I've made in my career. And I'll tell you a few things that have worked. When I've inherited teams that, and you described the situation perfectly. It's a role that I took on probably about 3 or 4 years ago in the organization, running one of our operations. It required a move, and it involved exactly what you said. Perhaps a couple of folks who had wanted to assume the role, right? Were preparing to assume the role, right? Quite frankly, right, as part of good succession planning, and a team that was maybe torn between my predecessor and me coming on board. And so what I learned very early on was really to listen and be available. Right. The first thing is realizing that, frankly, leadership's not about you. Right. It starts with you, but it's not about you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you have to set the tone. You have to set the tone that I'm here, I'm accessible, I'm listening, I'm curious. I'm not coming in with all the answers.
Okay.
I do know a little something, but I'm not coming in with all the answers. Right. And I want to hear and learn and understand so that then we can figure out together how we're going to work moving forward. To me, it's always important to set a vision together, right? I can certainly have my ideas and my hypotheses, if you will, right, based on my observations. But I find it's important to work with a team to come up with the clarity of purpose that's going to drive us moving forward, right, and ensure that folks have a say and a part in that. And the most vocal are the ones that you want around the table, right? You definitely don't want to shy away from that level of conversation and collaboration. You want to make sure you have a nice cross section of your leadership that's at the table, those that are aspiring leaders, even at the table. So, again, you're setting the tone. You're ensuring that the purpose and how we want to be clear about what we're here to do is foremost in everybody's mind. That's the lens in which we look at everything, that we make decisions together, etc. So that's what's important to me, that tone setting, that curiosity, and that clarity for the team.
So, yeah, casting that clear why,
Mhm.
Initiating this atmosphere or this culture building effort of, it's not you versus me, it's us working together
Yes.
to accomplish the goal.
Yes.
And so it comes with excitement, it comes with
Mhm.
some anxiety, right? But but then it also comes with this cold chill of resistance, right? So
Yes.
even though they're
Yes.
at the table and they're hearing your heart, and they might even believe in the principle, but
Mhm.
they're resistant to you,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they are going to express that
Mhm.
in some shape or form in their work. So how
Yes.
do you deal with that
Yes.
resistance, that cold chill? That's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
that undercurrent of sabotage without
Right.
yeah. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, it's difficult, and each situation's a little bit different. In one situation, I do recall really having to have one-on-one conversations, right? Because it's important to not nurture that resistance, if that makes sense, right? You've got to give it
Mhm.
certainly the right amount of attention to try to resolve, but you don't want to cultivate it into something that really creates disharmony among the broader team. And so you do want to take it aside. You do want to have, that one-on-one conversation. And at the end of the day, it is so important to set the expectation, right? You can listen and you can empathize and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, in order for the mission to move forward, it is important to set the expectation,
Absolutely.
right? And not allow things like that to continue to persist and undermine what the team is trying to do. Because again, it's not about me, right? It's
Mhm.
about what the team is trying to accomplish and keeping that clarity again of purpose on what we're all trying to do. But at some
So
point, you got to just say enough is enough.
enough is enough. So,
Yes.
sometimes I'll say it two different ways. Sometimes I'll say it's not the personality, it's the issue, or
Yes.
separate the behavior from the belief,
That's right.
right? Why is this happening?
That's right.
What's the cause? Are they defending something that they love? Are they grieving something they lost? And this
Hmm.
is their
Hmm.
projection, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, so I think every leader can identify with what you just said, having those private conversations, pulling it aside, set the expectation, and refocus,
Hmm.
refocus energy,
Hmm.
right, onto what's most important.
That's right.
So continue on this, navigate, because like I said, your leadership is not only transformational, you've been a trailblazer. So you've gone to those settings, contexts where someone who looks like you is not what they were expecting.
Mhm. Very often. Very often. Yes, very, very often. Again, whether it was early in my career on the construction site, or, most recently in business and client meetings, for sure. I am often, very often, the only one in the room, or the one that was not expected, for
Mhm.
sure. And again, it's about authenticity at the end of the day, right? If I love what I do and I show up as who I am in what I love to do, then my authenticity comes through in everything that I do. Whether it's leading a meeting, where it's meeting a client for the first time, giving a presentation, it doesn't matter, right? If I'm keyed in to what makes me me, then I can take that deep breath
Mhm.
and keep the conversation moving and the conversation going. Um, but what's important that I share with others that often feel like they're the only in the room or the first in the room, and they've got to take on the weight of folks adjusting, right, or normalizing to that, is again staying true to who you are and what drives you, right? It's sort of when your kids get upset about something, and you tell them your feelings are valid, right? Your feelings are valid. What you're feeling is valid. But now, what is your action going to be, right? What are
Mhm.
you going to choose to do to act? And often we have to choose to not let things like that put us off our game, if you will,
Yeah. Yeah.
and stay true and purposeful in what we're trying to do. Sometimes it's a joke, right? To lighten the mood,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes it's just straight ignoring, right? Ignoring that elephant in the room, and you keep moving forward, right? But I don't think that there's ever been a time where I've said, man, I regret that I've chosen this path. I regret
Mhm.
that I keep putting myself right out there. I don't think there's
Right.
an occasion for that, because of the love of what I do every single day.
Mhm. So it's so interesting of what you're saying, because I think oftentimes as leaders, we want to the easiest way to respond is from a positional standpoint. I'm the leader.
Mhm,
This is you work for me. You
mhm,
do what I say, right?
mhm,
And the truth is, the type of atmosphere, the type of culture that you want on your team really can't be taught. It has to be
mhm.
absorbed, right?
Yes, yes.
And so we find ourselves facing more resistance when we try to force something as opposed to letting it happen organically,
Mhm.
right? So
Yes.
let's kind of dig into this building the culture for a team that's healthy, that healthy culture. It's recognizing who in the room has influence, right?
Yes. Yes.
What what drives the people in the room? What makes
Mhm,
them have this sense of belonging? Um, what makes them feel heard,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Right? 'Cause we all, and I've had transitions as well where
mhm.
I am sitting in front of a team, and yes, I have position, but that doesn't mean I have authority.
That's
That
correct.
doesn't mean you're the
Mhm.
leader just because you have the title, right?
That's correct.
And so when you are building, well, in your current context, you're building a cultured atmosphere. You've got a team. You've been there a couple of years now. What, 3 years now? About
Mhm,
so you've been 3 years now. Talk to us about how, because there are some leaders listening, watching, who are either very experienced or
mhm,
up and coming.
mhm.
And one of the things that we try to teach in the resilience room is that when you're faced with resistance, that it's not the end. It's really just to make you stronger and develop you to be a high quality leader. And so talk
Yes.
about that culture is being cultivated in your team in the current context.
Yeah. Well, for um for me, and in any team that I've led, culture has been critical. It's about people. I'm in the people business. Our people are the ones that deliver services to our clients. And so we've got to motivate and inspire and support people. And I get great satisfaction in understanding what drives people and recognizing that folks are not cookie cutters of each other, right? And to your point, each has different motivators and things that light them up. And so my job as the leader is to figure out what that is and ensure that they're placed in situations where they can nourish that need or nourish that aspiration for them. And I use example, yes, but my words as well, right? I think it's important that what I say and how I say it be thoughtful because it reinforces where I stand and what I believe in. I believe in inclusion. I believe in belonging. I believe in fairness, right? And I ensure that as I get to know my team and they get to know me, that I'm continually articulating that and demonstrating that. And again, setting that tone for how we're going to work together, how we're going to treat one another, and how we are going to resolve conflicts and decisions, right? And and reward, if you will, right? And there people love to be recognized for doing the right thing, for making that tough call, right? And being seen for, I appreciate how difficult that was for you. And I think words matter, and how we affirm our people truly matter. And so I've become known as someone who puts culture first. I do put culture first. I do spend the time to ensure that the team culture is productive, to what we want to accomplish together. So then we kind of understand, right, where we need to spend the most time thereafter, right? If you get culture right, again, if you set that expectation early, then your focus can be on the things that really need the team's attention and expertise.
Wow. So as we kind of turn the corner, somebody is feeling a high level of stress, anxiety, overwhelming
Mm,
because
mhm,
it's been a back and forth of opposition and resistance between them and their team.
mhm.
Um, take a moment, about, about 1 or 2 minutes, and just encourage with a leader with some sage counsel that of best practice or lessons learned.
Mhm. Yeah, I think what I've learned in situations like that is to ensure a couple of things, right? Ensure that you have had the opportunity to do and say all the things that need to be said in terms of one, setting expectations, being clear on what drives a particular individual, and really setting milestones, right, for how that relationship will continue to improve or that performance will continue to improve. And really ensure that that communication is happening on a consistent basis, right? And that anything that you may any action or decision that you and the individual may need to make together has built up to this point together, at the end of the day. I think it's also important as leaders, and I learned this very early in my career and coach others, not to take it personally. It's so hard, right? That's so hard, but it's so important to not take it personally, that there's always something else going on. There's always some other story. And sometimes relationships just don't work, right? And that's okay, right? Process that, be okay with that. Don't take it all on yourself and be okay with that. Be clear about that. That's so important. That clarity is important. It's not about feelings and thoughts, it's about clarity. And what is the data showing you? What are the actions showing you? And have those real conversations wherever they may lead, wherever they may lead. And then, of course, always take care of yourself. You've got to have that sounding board, that group that's going to be there to check you, to say, nah, I think you're overreacting, or yeah, I think you've allowed enough time, right, to transpire with this situation. but you need that sounding board, to ensure that you've got all the support and perspective that you need.
Wow. Wow, Sharon. Well, listen, this was such a insightful and informative conversation. Really hearing from our guest just some tips, some lessons learned. She shared some insights. And Sharon, we are wishing all the best for you as you continue to lead there at Jacobs, as you continue to be transformational and using what God has given you to impact spaces and to be one who others can look to and say, okay, that's the type of character and integrity I want to have as a leader. So, thank you for all that you do. And we appreciate you. And we look forward to another time when you're back with us on the Resilience Room. Listen, folk, you didn't choose the team, but you were chosen for the team. I want to encourage you as we get ready to wrap up. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to be present. You need to be consistent, humble. You need to be bold, because leadership is not about proving you're right. It's about creating the space where everyone gets better. So whether you're a CEO, team lead, nonprofit leader, ministry leader, here's your takeaway. You don't build legacy by force. You build it by faithfulness. One brave, resilient human moment at a time. And so until the next time, stay strong, grow in pressure, rise through challenges, and we'll see you next time on the Resilience Room with Orville Brissett.
That's it for this episode of the Resilience Room, where leaders like you learn how to bend without breaking and turn transitions into triumphs. Like what you heard? Follow us on Instagram at OSB Coaching and on Facebook at OSB Coaching and Consulting. Want to go deeper? Visit osbcoachingandconsulting.com and let's talk about how you can build clarity, confidence, and a leadership legacy that lasts. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and stay resilient.